Are you ready?
Are you ready? Woo!
Welcome everybody to the sleeperWire show, and this is not like your typical sleeperWire show. This is the WrestleMania version of sleeperWire. Yeah, that's right. We are talking wrestling tonight. No football. It's all about wrestling. And guys, I've got some of the biggest nerds in wrestling that I could find associated with sleeperWire. So first, the biggest nerd I know personally. Give it up for the Grand Poobah, Adam.
Woo-hoo! That's right.
He can't even do the woo right for with Ric Flair.
Well, you know what? When I have nerd questions, I turn to one man, our special guest, Joseph the Fugitive Cruzen. What's up, Joseph?
What's going on? Not much. Having a great time. Just finished 2 days of amazing wrestling. Feeling good.
And I am your host, Nick Summerall. I am here to talk wrestling because as much as you guys know that the NFL is one of my passions, wrestling has probably been my longest passion. And it's something I like to talk about because I'm just so cynical. But I'll tell you what. I tell you what. As cynical as I am about wrestling, I have to start off by making this comment. I really enjoyed WrestleMania as a whole last night. Does anybody else share that feeling with me, or am I the only one on this show?
There wasn't anything that was bad, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, I thought there were some things that could have been better.
Nothing was bad.
Exactly, right.
There was one thing that was bad, and to me, it was the crowd at about hour 4.5.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I personally don't blame them. I mean, it was a very long day when you include the pre-show. But yeah, the matches that happened later on that deserved the crowd reaction did not get that crowd reaction that they should have. And we'll get more into that as we go along. But Adam, what about you? You were starting to say something. How were your thoughts on the show as a whole?
There was a point in the show where I thought to myself, you know what? R-Truth could come out here and dance for the next 90 minutes, and I would be happy with the overall show. But then I got through those 90 minutes, and I don't think that's true anymore.
I think your daughter might agree with
Sweetheart, hold on.
It's like, to me, that's the equivalent of like when you watch a TV show, and the TV show is amazing for 7 seasons, and the season finale is not that good, and you just shit on the whole series.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of hard to do when you think about it, right? I mean, how can you, it's been all so good, like to nitpick at one particular episode. It's like...
And during the Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, they didn't even give them a fair shake. They were checked out the minute Roman Reigns got in the ring. They were like, man, fuck this. There were beach balls. There were chants for Nicholas, the new tag team champion. There were all sorts of stuff. It was like, I heard
people were even clearing out of the stadium already before the main event happened.
Well, I saw there were like petitions online if Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar was the main event to leave. So there may have been a lot of people doing some of that nonsense.
There may have been, but you know what? I mean, we're really going to dive into that match, and I can't wait for it. But first things first, I think let's burn through the kickoff show. Let's do a sprint through the kickoff show because honestly, I mean, there's a couple things that happened, but really, it's the kickoff show. This is like the warm up. And, man, 2 hours is just way too long to be warming shit up when you get a 5-hour show.
I did put in my notes that everything that happened last night felt like it was just WrestleMania, like it was the main card. The matches on the pre-show this year didn't feel like a waste of time. And I noticed that, unlike previous years, the arena was, like, full. Like, everyone was in their seats when matches started happening. There weren't matches going on with a half-empty arena, which was real nice.
It's true. I mean, most of like we saw, I remember last year there was not even, like, most of the front rows were empty.
I mean, they were wrestling for nobody.
Yeah, and I was so disappointed in that because I was actually looking forward to Austin Aries wrestling last year, and I was like, wow, that could be a really great match. No crowd for that match. Yeah,
you know what, guys? I wish we could talk about last year, too. I wish.
Sure.
Yeah, but let's get to it. So the men's Battle Royal, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, kicked us off, and the result ended up being Matt Hardy winning it all thanks to the help of Bray Wyatt. Now, that's a shocking twist in it, but let me get Joseph's thoughts first on the match itself and the result of that match.
I thought the match was perfectly placed, and I thought it was quick. There was even one point where I felt like they must have had a mark where they knew they only had a certain amount of time left, because there was all of a sudden in the match, people just started flying over the top ropes. And I was like, holy crap. It was like two, 3 people at a time were going over, and then the match was done, and I was like, oh, it was brisk. It didn't waste a lot of time, and it was just like a cool way to see a lot of people that weren't going to be on the rest of the show. So I thought it was fun and fast.
Now, what about you, Adam? What were your thoughts on the match and then how it finished?
You know what? I thought the match was great for what I saw, and that was nothing of it. I didn't watch this match. So none of us got it right, though, in the predictions. We said Elias and Rusev, and none of us got it right. None of us said that it would be Broken Bray, which I'm actually interested in seeing. I want to see a Broken Bray and a Broken Michael Cole.
Oh, okay. That caught me off guard. A broken Michael Cole.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. I think that would be a fun twist.
I did love heel Michael Cole. I did love a heel Michael. I was happy with Bray and Matt Hardy teaming up finally. It seemed like that's where it was going to go because the two of them are so crazy together. What do you really do with either one of them after they split off? So I like seeing them together.
I think it's an interesting twist, especially after what we saw with the deletion match and everything. I don't know, like the whole, I guess maybe this whole deletion thing for me, just, it isn't working for me personally. It's not my cup of tea.
I love it. It hits on all cylinders for me. I thought it was the most stupid, ridiculous thing ever, and I loved every minute of it.
He was just on the Edge and Christian show, Matt Hardy, and you could just hear Edge just dying in the background because he was playing this woken Matt Hardy character. It's hilarious, man.
All of them. Even Jeff Hardy was cracking up. That was one of the funniest podcasts I've ever heard in my life. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the first deletion match was hilariously stupid, and it just kind of felt like a rip-off. I don't know. That's just where I stand.
But if you're just ripping yourself off, aren't you just kind of just? Isn't it more of a continuation than a rip-off?
I just felt like it should have been a one-time thing, and unfortunately, WWE was beat to the punch. That's how I feel. But
the ripoff was when the Wyatts did it with the New Day and Randy Orton. That was the ripoff.
That's true. Yeah, those were definitely ripoffs as well. It feels like Bray Wyatt's career has really been so it's been on such a downward spiral that really there's nothing more they could do. So let's pair him up with a woken Matt Hardy and see if we can rejuvenate his career. And honestly, if this doesn't work out for Bray Wyatt, I don't know if anything really will make his career get back on track.
He's lost too many matches.
Yeah, they used to think, I guess, they were under the impression that he could just be somebody who could just eat losses. But that is not the case. True. He is not. He has been relegated to the Aiden English level of WWE.
He got Dolph Ziggler.
All right, let's get to the next match. The WWE Cruiserweight Championship Tournament Final C, Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander. And we had Cedric Alexander win the match. Joseph, what was your thoughts on this match and how it ended?
They both deserved. Either person who would have won that match, I would have been happy. They're both on like the same level. It was a good face versus face match, in my opinion. But unfortunately, man, people just don't care about cruiserweights. They don't care about these cruiserweights. At least people were hot for the men's battle royal. People were hot for the women's battle royal, and they were on their hands that entire cruiserweight match. And these guys were flipping and spinning all over the place, and I don't think they got enough respect for it. I thought it was a decent match. I like Cedric Alexander, so I was happy with his win.
I mean, going into this match, I felt like I really don't watch a whole lot of 205 Live. It's more wrestling that I just do not have the time for. And but I'll tell you what, I mean, I did watch this match, and I did think it was a really good match. I thought there were some really good spots there. I mean, I've watched Cedric Alexander in Ring of Honor, so I'm familiar with his background and the type of wrestler he is. But Mustafa Ali, I don't really know too well. But
I thought Mustafa Ali was going to win because his story. I just like his character and storyline so much. I feel like he's on that Johnny Gargano level of like babyface, where like he's like such a babyface. I thought he was going to get it, but they're both amazing.
That's high praise of babyface Johnny Gargano, the way he is right now.
Right?
Yeah. Adam, did you watch this match at all?
You know what? I didn't. I was armed with a bottle brush and a sponge, and I was ready to do the dishes at this point.
I hear you. So, all right. So let's continue. I mean, there's so many matches, guys. I mean, so let's go on to the first ever women's battle royal at WrestleMania, and we had Naomi win, which I thought was surprising. I was surprised. Because Bayley ended up throwing Sasha Banks over, and we ended up getting Naomi, who was slipped out of the ring and forgotten about, to come back in and throw Bayley over to take the victory. So, Joseph, you were excited for this.
I was. I liked that she didn't just run up behind and throw her out. Like, she got in the ring and waited for Bayley to turn around and be like, I won, right? Like, I won. And she turned around and was like, oh, shit, no, I didn't. And then they got ready and, boom, got popped with a finisher real quick. And I was hoping for Becky Lynch because, Becky Lynch was the first women's SmackDown champion and then kind of has gotten left in the dust for these other women. She kind of really hasn't done much. So I was kind of hoping we were going to get a good pop for her. But Naomi got the same feels for me, so I was happy.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a push on Bayley here coming up. I could see her character developing into either a heel or something of that, something in between. No longer this hugger character that she is, which I like. But really, the rest of the divas in this match, I just don't know, man.
Divas.
Oh my God, you're still saying divas? What a pig.
Because that's what they were called. Look, I think there are some great women's matches. I do not think this was one of them. I am tired of seeing Naomi week after week, just like I'm tired of seeing Randall Orton week after week.
What have you seen Naomi week after week?
She's always on the
old
TV.
Ones?
Well, I might be. She's been on the TV for so long.
He's stuck on like 2015 WWE.
He's been watching on Hulu. He's showing last year's.
Maybe I was watching Jacqueline and I got, I don't know, man.
Wow.
I don't feel like I've seen her that much. Mostly it's been all Charlotte versus. No, you're not wrong. I mean, Charlotte's been teaming up with Naomi and Becky to fight the Riot Squad. But the emphasis has been on the Riot Squad and Charlotte for sure.
Naomi and Hart and Miss Money in the Bank. I mean, they're just characters I'm not interested in, and it would be the same. It's the same thing with Bobby Roode. I'm not interested in him either. So if you
I got a time
story,
out on one of the things you said. You just mentioned Miss Money in the Bank. Good Lord, they were very clear. That Money in the Bank was for SmackDown Championship only. And I cannot tell you how many people online were just like, why isn't Carmella cashing in on Nia Jax? Like, what the heck? I was like, first of all, Nia Jax would kill Carmella. Second of all, you're on the wrong show. Man, people wanted her to cash in last night so bad, and when she didn't, they were like, what, so she's not Money in the Bank anymore? It's like, where are you getting this?
Well, I would have been happier had Bayley. That would have been...
Yeah, it would have pushed their story a little more, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm kind of disappointed that match, Sasha and Bayley really wasn't on WrestleMania. But then again, I guess with the loaded card, I guess they could save off for that match, and I guess they're going to save that for somewhere down the road, maybe at a SummerSlam, or I don't know how much longer they could drag it out without actually having them two compete. But it's going to happen soon.
I mean, you know what this is going to do for Naomi's career, right? Nothing. It's going to do nothing for her career.
Hey, she got a WrestleMania moment that she deserved, I feel like.
Yeah.
Just in the interest of keeping this up to date, I just Ember Moon just debuted on Raw.
Oh, did she really?
Yeah.
That was great. That was my pick for who was going to win the Battle Royal, which, by the way, none of us have gotten any of these right yet.
Well, yeah, it's so hard in a battle royal. You really don't know, especially in these because it's just a crapshoot. It's just like, who do we want to just get a little bit of a rub tonight? Like it doesn't mean, like you said, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, here's another match, and this one's now on the main card that we all didn't get right. That was the Intercontinental Championship match that opened the show. Miz versus Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. Seth Rollins is your new Intercontinental Champion, and I have to say, this match kicked off the show the right way because it was full of action.
Perfect spot.
Yeah, everybody knew this was going to be a workhorse in-ring kind of match with guys that really should be elevated to the next level but are subjugated to the mid-card still. But, they all have potential to become main eventers in their own right. I mean, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor have already been there. We've seen The Miz there before. I think he's really stepped up his game over the last year or two.
Yeah.
So I definitely believe that they all could be well-deserved main eventers. I think that the right call here was for Seth Rollins to get the Intercontinental Championship because I'm hoping that they'll move The Miz on to more upper card storylines. I don't know if I'm ready for him to going after the Universal Championship, especially with the result that we got. But I am ready for him to take a jump up in his career as far as being able to be in a more significant spot on the card. What did you guys think of the match and the result? Joseph, starting with you.
I was surprised at the result just simply because they've been pushing the fact that Miz is on the verge of becoming the longest reigning IC champion, or at least beating Pedro. And I was certain they were going to let him get that in. He just had his baby and everything. But maybe that's it. Maybe he's going to take some time to be with his wife and his brand new baby.
Yeah, that's what I felt like too. I felt like it was Miz is taking time off because he just had a kid. Spend some time with your kid.
I don't think anyone would have cared if the Miz had won or if Finn Balor had won. People were real bummed that he didn't dress up as the Demon for WrestleMania.
Yeah, that was one of my complaints too. But at the same time, one of my, I was watching this with some friends of mine, and they were also kind of upset. But that brought up the point that in this feud, they really didn't talk about the Demon at all. And it's kind of like one of those things that Finn Balor, you only know it's going to come if they talk about it. And the other thing is, the Demon's undefeated, if I'm not mistaken. So I feel like they didn't want to incorporate that because they knew that
They wanted that mysterious, like when he becomes the Demon, it's like, you can't beat the Demon. Yeah, right, I got you.
In their defense, the only thing I can say is, they really had an opportunity, though, to have a really special entrance. And I understand they had a lot of different entrances for a lot of great wrestlers. But really, when you think of Finn Balor, I mean, yes, is he a great worker? Absolutely. My only criticism of his that I have is his finisher. I hate the coup de grace. I think it's dumb. But otherwise, I'm sorry. You stomping on their chest really doesn't do it for me. But anyway,
not the way he does it. That's for sure.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's really not that impressive when you think of all the other moves he can pull out. But anyway, but when you thought about Finn Balor and his first time at WrestleMania, you really did think, wow, what could they do with the entrance that he could have as a Demon? And I think that's the only thing that really gets people bummed out is because there was so much they could have done with that, and it's just that he just entered with the LGBT or whatever.
Yeah, there you go. I couldn't say it either.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of all the graphics that they threw up? I think it's like TV only. I'm doubting the audience was able to see.
No, they didn't. I thought they did. I thought the Miz's, when the Miz came out.
I thought the Miz was great.
And his lights, I was like, oh, what are those? And then they just disappeared. I was like, hold on, that was really cool. And then when they did it for somebody else, I was like, oh, it's just a graphic that's up. And sometimes it didn't look so good. Sometimes it did look good. Sometimes it looked pretty cheap. It was definitely on the cheap side.
Yeah, to me it looked like and some of them, like you said, the Miz was really good, but some of them I was like, did they just put a phone in front of the camera and just use that camera to do augment reality over there?
I was disappointed with Asuka's mask. There was they had some light shining off of them, and it looked super fake.
Well, I wanted Braun's face to just be everywhere over the crowd. That's what I want.
All right, so our next match after the IC title match was the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, I thought this was early. This was early for this match.
I was shocked how early it was, but I'm glad
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it should have closed the show.
Wow.
Well,
I wouldn't have been disappointed if it were.
No, I wouldn't have been disappointed with that either.
I mean, I thought it, but I will tell you this: if this match were to close, it would have had to have been better than it was. I mean, I thought
that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good match for what it was and where it was in the card.
I thought it was great.
I mean, listen, I think that it could have been better, yes, but do I think as far as a women's match at WrestleMania, I mean, it definitely is up there for me as one of the top women's matches of WrestleMania history. Now, the result I'm not really a fan of. I didn't like that Charlotte ended up retaining. I think that this should have been Asuka's moment to shine because, yeah, she has that streak, and I know it has to end at some point, but with the way Ronda Rousey debuted at WrestleMania and the fact that she looks like she's going to be more full-time than part-time, why not build them up together in an undefeated fashion to have them, because that could be the first ever women's WrestleMania main event. I mean, think about that.
I think you pigeonhole yourself if you decide to keep Asuka undefeated. Because if you keep her undefeated through WrestleMania, you have to keep her undefeated for an entire year now.
They've kept her undefeated from NXT till now for, what, almost 3 years?
It was over 900 days.
900 days.
Yeah.
What was one more year?
A lot. When you're on the main card against main eventers, right? I mean, it's different when you're in NXT.
Right, but you know what, though? It would have got people. But you know what, though? People were starting to see Asuka on the main roster, and they were talking about her undefeated. And then if you brought in Ronda and give her a year to be undefeated, it would have gotten people talking. That's where I see it. I saw it down the road. I mean, I understand maybe initially people would be like, wow, Asuka's like undefeated. What the hell? Like, you know, let's have her get beaten finally. But Ronda, though, if you built her along and she was actually full-time and being around, you know, wrestling at every pay-per-view and on TV, well, then you're going, well, Ronda's undefeated. She looks like the only one in the WWE that can compete with Asuka. And that's, boom, money match, WrestleMania main event. Nobody's complaining about that.
That'll still happen, though, regardless of undefeated or not. That'll still happen, right? You're still going to get Asuka versus Ronda.
I got a point for both sides.
I know, but
I'm happy they ended the streak because a lot of people were getting sick of Asuka because of the streak. I liked streaks, and I could have seen her go undefeated for another 3 years and then just retire and been like, that was awesome. For some reason, people hate that. They think it degrades all the rest of the talent and makes everybody else look like shit. And people were getting tired of it, and I feel like some fans are starting to turn on her because of it. So at least now that she's done it to Charlotte, and then she at least did it to a deserving opponent.
But you know what, though? Let them turn. Let them turn. She'd be heel.
Yeah.
Let her be a big heel, and then Ronda's the hero.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I mean, I'm looking because I'm sorry, like, and I'm not trying to sound, chauvinistic here, but if you're going to have a women's match as the WrestleMania main event, like I feel like they want to do eventually.
I'll talk about that in a second. There's a plan for next year, but finish your point.
Okay, I mean, I'm interested to hear your plan, but my point is, if that's what you want to do, you better make it a damn good build up with two big stars in your company. And I didn't think it really could get any bigger with what they had in now Ronda Rousey and in Asuka in what she's done over her career. I mean, that's how I viewed it. I thought that was your big money match right there. Two undefeated Titans. Yeah, Ronda Asuka, two undefeated Titans with obviously a women's title on the line. You know, Ronda winning the Royal Rumble, probably Asuka remaining champion from after this year's WrestleMania. That's what I would have liked. And I thought that just had so much potential, especially with the glowing reviews that Ronda got from her debut match at WrestleMania. I mean, she really held her own. She can really go in the WWE. And, I mean, I think that she's only going to get better in a year. So we could have really had something special there. And I feel like we blew it now that Asuka's been defeated.
I wonder if they're a little worried of Asuka Ronda turning a little too shooty with the language barrier and Asuka being so stiff and Ronda being an MMA fighter. I wonder if they're worried about it turning into a shoot fight in the middle of Ronda's like green year. You know what I mean?
Maybe. But I would have thought by a year, though, at least that most of that greenness would have been shaken out of Ronda by the time WrestleMania 35 rolled around.
I mean, Asuka's going to have one loss. That's it. That's what she's going to have. Now, I don't think she's going to go on a losing streak. I don't think she's going to be the next Kurt Hawkins here. She's got one loss to Charlotte on a main event at WrestleMania. I mean, and it was an awesome match. It was possibly the best match on the card.
Oof, it was so good. I have so many notes in this match. Like, there were so many awesome spots. Like, when Charlotte did that moonsault and Asuka caught her and that, like, triangle choke. Oh, that was
so a great moment.
Freaking sweet.
Mm-hmm. That flip off what's that move called? It's when you grab their arm and you do a complete flip, and she did it off the turnbuckle on the side. That move was excellent.
And the arm work throughout the entire match. But there was like one time she just grabbed her arm and then ran out of the ring, and it like pulled Charlotte down on her knees, like on the rope. It was really good. One of my favorite things about Asuka, she reminds me of Eddie Guerrero with her facials, because even though she can't speak English, I feel like you could be in the back row and she could like kind of just tell a good story with her face. She doesn't need to be able to speak English. Like, her eyes get like so big, and like the way she like does things, like in Royal Rumble, the way she slapped Ronda's hand away was like so much more impactful than the death stares that like Charlotte and Alexa were giving.
You know what's funny about that is, like, I think that's a credit to her craft. I mean, that English-speaking women's wrestlers don't have, because they don't have that barrier to cross, like somebody like Asuka, who has to tell a story. I mean, yeah, she wrestled in Japan, so maybe it wasn't that big of a deal there. But she comes here, she's got to learn how to, really deliver with her body language, and that's something that we don't really have from a lot of the other women's wrestlers in the business today.
I love the respect at the end too, where she handed Charlotte the title and like said congratulations. Like I liked that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I especially liked that because the way it led into later on with AJ and Shinsuke, how they kind of mirrored what happened, but then Shinsuke did what he did. I like that, how they like it seems like and Shinsuke's doing it too. Kind of like took away from the obviousness of the low blow. I thought.
I'll tell you what I didn't like. I didn't like, as Charlotte was having her moment out the ring, here comes John Cena running up next to her. You could see her looking at him like, what the fuck?
You just steal that from me?
Why are you taking parts of my moment, John Cena?
The referee comes down, Taker's here, Undertaker's here. What? What, really? No. Oh, and then he just like books it up the ramp. Yeah.
Well, before we get to all of that, let's get to this next match, which, honestly, I mean, I was not that excited for at all, but it happened. Randy Orton versus Bobby Roode versus Jinder Mahal versus Rusev for the United States Championship. This match, Jinder Mahal won. I feel like this was only set up, really, for the Saudi Arabia show, WWE's greatest Royal Rumble ever, WWE Network special, whatever you want to call it, that's coming up. I really feel like this is more for, like, the overseas, because I don't think Jinder Mahal is terrible. I just think
his finishes.
Well, his finishes, I think his gimmick is just, I mean, we've seen it so much and done so much better that it's like, okay, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Jinder Mahal. He'll always be 3M beef to me.
I wasn't a fan of this whole match.
No one was there for anything else except Rusev Day, so I don't know why we didn't get that. That's all anyone wanted was Rusev Day. I'm honestly, it wasn't a bad match. Like I'm saying, it's not a bad match. It would have been a great match for a Raw or SmackDown main event, maybe.
Right.
But it wasn't great. It was a time. It was just like that. It was. I wrote down on my notes first boo, but it wasn't awful. It was just I'm really stale on Jinder, Orton, and Bobby Roode right now. I just wanted Rusev Day, and they shut us down, and I was like, meh.
Yeah. Could Randy Orton, could he look like he wants to do this less? The guy, he looks like the person who comes into work and they're unshaven with like coffee stains on their shirt, untucked, and like their pants are tucked into their socks. I mean, when I look at Randy Orton, I think to myself, this guy is here just to do something, just to get paid. This is a payday for him. I don't see any passion.
He got too much too early. He had a full legendary career before he was like 28. Now people are kind of a little burnt out on him. He's like, I'm 30. I'm still ready to just like be here all the time, but we don't want you in the top spot. So he's just like, what's he doing? He's just showing up to just be Randy Orton.
I did find it surprising that the last pay-per-view to find out that this was Randy Orton's first United States title win.
Oh, yeah.
I found that to be quite interesting. I mean, over his long, extenuated career, he's never held the U.S. title until just recently. So that was interesting to me, and that was probably the only reason they gave it to him anyways, because, well, you've done everything else. Let's add this to your repertoire. So,
and that's another beef I've got. Too many people are getting that Grand Slam thing all of a sudden. Like this year alone, I think like 4 people got it.
Yeah.
It should be something that's hard to get. That's why it was only Shawn Michaels for the longest time.
Yep.
Well, it's not hard to get anymore, but there's not going to be any more hardcore winners along with all the others, so whatever you call that.
That all 3 members of the Shield are Grand Slam winners is disgusting.
Yeah. They've
been there like 5 years.
Well, actually, did Ambrose? Oh, yeah, Ambrose won the tag titles. That's right.
He was the first one to get it. He was the first one to get it. And then Roman got it a couple weeks later.
Oh, yeah.
And then Rollins got it last night.
Right. Yep, you're right. That's funny. All right, so is there anything more we can say about this match? Because I think we have way bigger matches to cover.
I don't even think we were talking about this match anymore.
No, I didn't either. I really didn't either. All right. Well, all right. Here's a match that we're going to spend some time on, and we kind of already touched on it a little bit, but this was Kurt Angle and Ronda Rousey versus Triple H, Stephanie McMahon. So we had Ronda and Angle, of course, win. I didn't think there was any other way this could go, although Triple Ego has always, kind of gotten in his way.
Triple Ego. That's great.
So
I thought there was going to be another outcome only because I had such little expectations for this match.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be a disaster. So I thought they were just going to eventually have Ronda turn on Kurt Angle and join Stephanie and Triple H as like an authority,
really,
like bully. Just because I didn't think she was gonna do good. And I thought people were gonna start booing her. And they were like, well, let's just turn her heel. Screw it. And man, I was so wrong. I couldn't believe it. The minute she tagged in and exploded on Stephanie, I was like, oh, holy crap. That match was so good. I was so surprised. Stephanie McMahon's heel work was some of the best stuff I've seen in a tag team match in so long.
And we got to keep in mind, I mean, Stephanie is not a competitor. So this is, of course, like, what could you expect? You weren't going to get world-class wrestling out of Stephanie, and she really surprised as far as her psychology, and really, one other thing, I want to add here is I really appreciated the work that it showed that they put, that everybody involved put into this match. Because you could tell that there was a lot of work put into the match to make it good.
Yeah.
Yep. And they did everything from Stephanie and Triple H riding down those giant hogs to the way Stephanie was going to be on the outside, but she kept running up and doing something to Ronda from behind and then getting in her corner like, what? I was like, this is great. This is great. She was reeling people in hook, line, and sinker. And I was like, this is awesome. And then to top it off, I thought it was going to be Triple H and Kurt Angle carrying Ronda Rousey, and that is not what happened at all.
Nope, not at all. Ronda was the star. Ronda was the star. And this is exactly why that's exactly why I brought up the point of Ronda versus Asuka earlier, because I thought that with what we saw from Ronda in this match shows me that with her being a more of a full-time competitor, not the part-timer that people may have thought Ronda was going to be.
Angle, man. I was not impressed with how Kurt Angle looked at SummerSlam when he came out with the Shield. I was like, oh no, maybe it was a bad idea letting him start wrestling again, because it looked like he was like broken, but man, he looked good last night, and he was whooping Triple H's ass.
I like this match, man. I mean, when she got that hot tag from Kurt Angle and came in there and started mollywopping on Stephanie, man, that was excellent. That was excellent. And then to get the tag, that part where she was in the ring with Triple H, and Triple H was taking the ref, and he was like, look, I'm just going to bully you and push you over here, and you just hold on. I'm going to take this little lady over here. Like, he was so placating, man. His whole demeanor was this, like, all right. You're so cute. I'll take you to the park. Maybe we'll ride on some swings.
Funny.
Yeah, his attitude. And then when she unleashed that flurry, man, was that great. That flurry was awesome. And normally when you sell, right, when you're selling on these, like, flurries, you can make you look cartoonish. But it didn't make him look cartoonish at all. And then she picked him up. She picked him up John Cena style.
The way she picked him up was what was impressive. The way she rolled over him and picked him up on her shoulders. Wow. Did you think it was insane how much physical contact. Kurt Angle put the ankle lock on Stephanie McMahon. Triple H, like, I know he sometimes locks a girl up for the pedigree but then doesn't give it, but he put his hands, he tripped her that time and pulled her out of the ring. Like, there was definitely more male on female contact than they even had in the Mixed Match Challenge. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, and I heard that he doesn't even want there to be, male-female matches, but it looks like he's coming around to it.
They must be, because that Mixed Match Challenge was some of the best stuff that happened this year.
Yeah, it was.
All right, guys, so we're going to move on then to the SmackDown Tag Team title match. Usos versus Bludgeon Brothers versus New Day. The Bludgeon Brothers are your new champions. Now, man, I was looking forward to this match being a classic. I thought this had the makings of a triple tag team match. Like this reminded me of when the Guerreros versus Edge and Rey Mysterio versus Angle and Benoit. This was like what I thought it had the potential to be, and it just was too rushed, too much others watching them. It felt like we were watching their interference in the fast lane match between New Day and Usos all over again.
I think this match actually wound up going less than like 13 minutes. I think it went somewhere between like 8 and 13 minutes. I wouldn't be surprised to find out they just were cut on time and weren't able to do. We've seen the Usos in the New Day put on clinics in their last matches. This wasn't an awful match, but compared to what the Usos in the New Day can do, it wasn't great. And it was just sad because the Usos have been in the company killing it for a long time, and they've never been on the main card of WrestleMania. They finally get on there, and it was just to like lose real quick to the Bludgeon Brothers.
Well, but here's something we have to remember. I mean, when Harper and Rowan were a tag team back when they had their feud with the Usos, when they were still part of the Wyatts, I mean, they had some great matches as tag teams. So, I mean, Harper and Rowan are a great tag team. That's why I thought that we had 3 great tag teams all together in one match at WrestleMania. I really thought this was going to be one of those kind of show stealers, and it was just not. To me, it wasn't given enough time. And because they weren't given enough time, they had to go in this direction where we just had the Bludgeon Brothers just completely go in there and squash both teams.
Fun fact, this is the first pay-per-view Harper's been on since last WrestleMania, and it's the first pay-per-view Rowan's been on since he got jobbed out to The Rock like 2 or 3 WrestleManias ago.
Wow.
It'll probably be their last.
I mean, they're the tag team champs, so that's not possible.
Right. I mean, that yeah, they're the tag team champions. And I mean, I think they're a great team together. I think this is where they should be. They should be tag team, and that's it. Don't try to split them up again. They work together great as a team.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely work better as a team than when they tried making them go their own way and then bringing them back with Bray Wyatt and then separating them again. That was definitely a mistake.
I mean, I was fine. I was fine with this. This was space filler, right? After that Rousey match, you were in such highs.
It could have been show stealer, though. It could have been show stealer,
but it wasn't. And it wasn't supposed to be. It wasn't meant to be. They only gave it like 5 minutes, and they gave the Rousey match like 20 minutes.
Well, that's why I'm saying that it didn't. That's why it didn't steal the shows, because it wasn't given the time it needed to really become what it could have been. And that's all my point is.
And you, Nick, are the only one to get this right. You're the only one that said Bludgeon Brothers.
Yeah, I didn't think that was.
I know my wrestling. What can I say? Speaking of knowing my wrestling, I'm also the only one who voted on Taker versus Cena actually happening.
Did you vote that he was going to come in and squash the shit out of John Cena in 3 minutes?
You know what? I did. I had that, and I just was keeping. I was keeping that myself. I was like, man, I don't want to spoil the show for Adam and Joseph. I was like, what kind of a guy would I be?
Yeah. I've been talking to The Undertaker, on the DL, and he's been telling me about what he's going to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Via text.
So a lot of people had complaints about this because I've heard a lot of people say things from it ruins John's legacy to lose that quickly to a 50-year-old Undertaker. I've heard people say they got robbed of getting that last great Undertaker match because the Undertaker only came out. Some people are even calling the Undertaker lazy for only showing up to do a couple minutes when John Cena's been doing all the legwork on the mic. I think this was hilarious.
I agree.
I thought it was so funny.
I just thought this was meant to be a WrestleMania moment on what was already a stacked card to begin with. And that's all it was. It was just something to, hey, listen, I mean, did you like what we did with Undertaker last year? Hell no.
Nah.
So let's give you guys something good this year.
Let's give you something positive. Yeah. And
I mean, let's think about it. If we give an Undertaker a 20-minute match on WrestleMania this year again, I mean,
it would have been so bad.
Awful. Yes. Even with John Cena having to carry it wouldn't have been
so bad.
Good.
And you definitely don't want a 20-minute John Cena match at WrestleMania either. This was perfect for the both of them. John Cena got to do what John Cena does best, which is be this kids.
Hold on. I've never heard anyone say John Cena was the best seller, but man, he just sold his ass off for a couple minutes.
I said he got to do what he did best. That had nothing to do with wrestling. He got to be in the crowd, hanging out with people, making them laugh, and then doing something ridiculous.
The fact that he was in the crowd the whole night, just sitting in that chair as a fan, was so funny.
That's exactly what he should have been doing from the beginning. He shouldn't have been wrestling. He should have just been hanging out in the crowd with people.
The only missed opportunity I think from this match, I think the Undertaker should have come out as American Badass. He folded up the gear last year. I kind of was hoping that part of it was done. I didn't really want to see the 50-year-old man and the Halloween get up anymore. I thought if he'd come out as American Badass, it would have been a better pop. But I laughed my ass off.
I wonder what it was like to be sitting front row when those graphics were like hitting the lightning bolts were hitting the ring. Somebody had to like crawl in there like a referee and actually take that stuff out of the ring. In front row, you're just probably thinking, what the hell is going on here? You're just grabbing you're putting it in the middle of the ring and then you're taking it out.
There's been video footage of when the Wyatt family was together, and it would be like, it would do all that stuff. They didn't even really shut the lights off in the arena. It was just all on screen, and you would just see they would just come out of the crowd like Shield style, and then get in. And then when the monitor would turn back on, the dude in the ring would act fucking shocked. We all just saw him. All three of these big dudes lumber into the ring. That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the whole presentation of this was different. I had a lot of friends of mine complaining, oh, why not just have Undertaker come out on Raw and just already accept the match? I'm like, no, because this is different. Who has an impromptu match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania? You never see that happen.
And get your ass beat.
Right, get your ass beat by it. I mean, it also gave, underdog sleeper fan favorite Elias a stage to do something. I
love Elias.
I know there's a lot of people.
I walk with
like Elias. Yeah, and I don't understand it. I don't get the love fest for it.
He is so like. Do you watch regularly? Are you a regular watcher, Nick?
I used to be more so. I mean, I have really cut back.
That man is really funny, and he's like he's barely a heel. Except that the minute you start cheering for him, he starts poo-pooing all over your town hardcore.
Stuff that he says
funny. I like the shtick, and I like the, the gimmick, like in how, he comes out and does his thing. I just wish he was a better. That's all.
He's not bad. He's got amazing. His elbow from the top rope is Macho Man-esque. It is real good. He's getting better. He doesn't get a lot of time to wrestle. He just mostly comes down and then gets beaten up real quick.
There was a guy on Twitter who all he does is tweet the lyrics from what Elias says when he's coming down to the ring. And the stuff that he says about towns, man, like he just lays into him. When he was talking about Cleveland, he was getting into LeBron and the Browns and just it was brutal. It was brutal.
He goes in. He does his homework, and it is real funny. And he's a damn good musician. I don't know if either one of you saw a couple weeks ago, but he played like 5 different instruments, and it was really fucking cool.
On the drums.
He busted it out. He was really good.
He's great.
One thing about the Undertaker John Cena that I wanted to say that some people are like, how is he going to come out and just have that quick match? If you really think about the stuff that John Cena was saying to and about the Undertaker Monday and Tuesday for the past 4 weeks in a row, for Undertaker not to come out and just whoop his ass would have been lame.
Yeah, he had to have.
Talking about you're just sitting on your wife's because you're old and broken down. You're just on your wife's Twitter. Oh, he was going in on the Undertaker. You don't talk about the Undertaker like that and then come out and have a good match. You get your ass beat. That's what should have happened.
Yeah, I like. Listen, I'm with you guys. I think this was great. I don't agree with the people out there who were disappointed. For those of you who were disappointed you didn't get a lengthy old man Undertaker match, way.
The
You're
last thing
actually
we
not
need.
that disappointed. You're actually not. Really, you're not.
No, really you're not. All right, let's move along, guys, to the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan match. D-Bry returns, and man, I mean, without his return, I mean, this just wouldn't have felt so star-studded. But like him returning, Rousey's debut, you had the Undertaker versus Cena. I mean, this was a stacked card. This is one of the reasons why I really enjoyed last night, just because we had so much going on, and I didn't think all the build-ups were great, along the way. I mean, I had been keeping up with what's been going on, despite maybe not watching every single minute of the build-up. But I've seen and watched clips and heard all the build-up up to this, and it wasn't all exciting. Some things were great, but some things were the usual. And I mean, this was Daniel Bryan coming back really put the icing on the cake for me for this WrestleMania. I couldn't have been happier with his return, and I really couldn't have been happier with this match. I mean, did I think it could have been maybe a tad more on the wrestling side? Could I've seen more of Daniel Bryan than Shane McMahon? Yeah. But at the same time, this is his return match at WrestleMania with already great workers involved that didn't need Daniel Bryan to carry this match.
True.
So I thought that for what it was great, and it's interesting now to see what's going to happen with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, because I really did think, okay, well, they put they'll get fired stipulation on it. And I was like, well, how can you have Daniel Bryan's return match with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens getting fired as a stipulation? It just didn't seem like that was going to be the turn of events. So I expected something heel turn from Shane McMahon on Daniel Bryan. That was kind of my suspicion all along, just because I thought Owens and Zayn, they couldn't lose. But they did, and Daniel Bryan, won his first match back, which also kind of was like, how could that not happen either? So I'm happy with the way things turned out, and I'm overall happy with the way the match was. Joseph, what did you think of this match?
It was a good match. The only thing was, it was sort of almost like a nostalgia match, because it was kind of like you were really just there to see Daniel Bryan and chant yes. It was really just there to see his stuff, so much so that I feel like kind of the rest of the match kind of got lost, including the fact, like you said, KO and Sami Zayn got fired. I feel like the end of that match, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn don't have jobs. I don't even remember Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn losing their cool about losing the match. It was just all Daniel Bryan yes chants. I felt like the rest of the match kind of got lost in the excitement of having Daniel Bryan back.
The most underrated moments were, of course, Kevin Owens yelling throughout the match at Daniel Bryan. I mean, that's always some of my favorite parts about Kevin Owens wrestling, is that just him yelling at his opponent during the match.
I loved when Sammy was getting ready to tap out, you could just hear Kevin Owens, "Sammy, don't you tap out! Don't you tap out!" It was like, get in the ring and kick him, kick him or something. What are you doing?
You know what Kevin Owens needs to bring back, though, that I'm disappointed is? He needs to go back to Raw, and he needs to yell at Michael Cole again. Because that was always my favorite. "Shut up, Cole, you idiot."
Yeah.
That was always my favorite.
Byron Saxton was the one who got it the worst. That was Byron Saxton.
So I'm excited to see where this goes. But as a match as a whole, it was good. Like you said, it felt like nostalgia.
Great, though. It wasn't a great WrestleMania match, but I agree with Joe. It was to see Daniel Bryan. That was the whole attraction. That was the whole show.
The weird thing, the reason that is not cool is because it was Shane McMahon, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens' story. That he just came in and jumped in on the end and just turned their story that they've been working on for over a year. Sami Zayn, and this over a year that this story has been going on, and it ended with Daniel Bryan. Whatever.
He is so over, though. He is the most over person in the company.
He's
Right.
got to get fired or lose his job as SmackDown manager. He's got to just go back to fighting for the title. The GM thing's got to go away.
It's got to go.
I imagine in the next month both GMs get replaced.
Well, I mean, you look at this. I mean, next week is the Superstar Shakeup that they're doing between Raw and SmackDown. For those of you who followed along with Raw, that'll be taking place. So I could very well see Daniel Bryan now as a competitor being changed over to Raw. I mean, that'll definitely help spike up the Raw ratings. Although
Raw ratings are way better than SmackDown's. There's no way.
I know.
Yeah, you need to leave
true.
Daniel Bryan on SmackDown and put The Miz back on SmackDown as well.
Yeah, you do.
That payoff needs to come real soon.
Right.
I
And
don't know if they can stretch that out until next WrestleMania, but
oh man, I think people would be really pissed if that was the WrestleMania match. But I agree with you guys, though. I would be excited to see that just because of all the build-ups between them. You know, ever since Talking Smack, and even prior to that with their their matches. I mean, right? I mean,
half the Miz's moveset right now is stolen Daniel Bryan moves.
Exactly. I was like, man, is Miz even going to do Daniel Bryan kicks anymore now that?
Oh man, that's funny.
You know, at this point in WrestleMania, though, I was thinking to myself, this is the best WrestleMania I've seen in years. It had these highs and then these lows, and the lows were for the people I really didn't care about, and the highs were for the people I did. I mean, I liked the Asuka, Charlotte, and then it went down. Then I liked the Ronda Rousey, and then it went down. And then I liked the Daniel Bryan. I mean, right? At this point, WrestleMania was on a path to be one of the best WrestleManias in years. That's what people were saying. And I was thinking, man, can't wait for the next 90 minutes. This is the R-Truth dancing spot.
It's funny you say that, actually.
You're absolutely ridiculous.
The next match was Nia versus Alexa, right?
Yeah, Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss was the next match. Nia Jax ended up winning. What a shame.
It was I thought it was really good. I'm gonna make my daughter. My daughter watches like women's wrestling with me and like actually gets into it, which she like watches it with me. I'm gonna show her that match. It was a great story. That whole match was a segment dedicated to a very particular audience.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that it scored everywhere it needed to be. I think it's really good for Nia. I think it was great storytelling, and I think it was well deserved. It was a great spot. I think that was just a special moment for every little girl in the audience that maybe doesn't feel so good about her body.
Yeah, not only that, but the anti-bullying campaign that they run. I mean, I can't imagine if Bliss won and there would have been that wouldn't have worked.
All right,
I think that went. Now, after this match, though, I wrote on my notes. There's a big line that says Adam's line, because this is where Adam says, everything's going to go downhill from here after the Nia Jax Alexa Bliss match.
Man, you might as well call me the wrestling prophet.
I had to go back in and write, and apparently the rest of the crowds too, because from here on out, the crowd started kind of being shitty.
Now, hold on. Before we move on, because I want to get my piece in about the Nia Jax versus Alexa Bliss match, because while I enjoyed the storytelling as well, I mean, I thought it was the obvious thing to have Nia Jax win. I agree. I mean, there really was no other way to go about it. But I'm just disappointed because I think right now, currently, Alexa Bliss is one of the best heels in the business.
Yeah,
I mean, she has come so far from what I watched her in NXT to what she's doing today, and she is so underrated as far as women's wrestlers by a lot of
She'll
fans.
come out as a cheerleader. It's fine with me.
So she could do it. I would have never imagined when she was that pixie character.
Yeah, that she would turn into this, right?
No way.
No way. I mean, I'm so grateful that, and I mean, she's also easy on the eyes too. Let's not lie about that. I mean, that's also one of the reasons she's one of my favorites.
Fury.
Oh yeah.
She reminds me of current day Trish Stratus.
Yeah, she's a total package, in my opinion.
Yep.
She's a total package, and I think that in the Superstar Shakeup, they should send her over to SmackDown to fight Charlotte. You know, I think she should take the belt off Charlotte. Personally,
I don't know.
What?
I don't know.
She's not going to take the belt off of. She's not going to take the belt off of Nia Jax. Let's be honest about that.
No, that is true. But and I guess what I'm getting ready to say sounds like it doesn't make sense because I liked seeing her fight Nia, but I feel like she is so short compared to Charlotte being so tall, I just don't really want to see that matchup.
Well, we already did.
I know
we saw it at Survivor Series, and it was a great match.
I think it was.
It was a great. Oh, come on! You have to go back and watch.
It was good. No, I know it was good. It was not. I'm really into women's wrestling, so I like all the matches usually anyway. But I didn't think that was the best match Alexa Bliss has had.
Maybe not the best, but then again, it was on a Survivor Series and a champion versus champion match. It didn't have any build-up. It didn't have any real significant meaning. I thought it was good for just being a champion versus champion match, and that's all it was.
Yeah.
I mean, if you actually provided this match with storyline and build-up and all that, for me personally, I think Alexa Bliss is the type that you need her to be a champion for them to make her or continue to make her significant, because without the championship, I feel like, what do you do with Alexa Bliss? She's not going to be the type that chases. You want somebody to chase to beat her.
Well,
she's so
the kind,
good of a character, though.
She's the kind that she can lead a team of bigger wrestlers than her to help her keep the championship or get the championship back.
I mean, who knows? Maybe she could beat Nicholas and become the next tag team champion with her.
Speaking of her size, though, that last bump to finish the match was a crazy bump for a girl her size. That Samoan drop off the ropes was nuts.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was definitely insane. But again, good. It was a great match with great storytelling. Really, probably an underrated match for most people. Probably most people didn't see this one being as good as it ended up being. So kudos to both girls in that match. Now, let's get to AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE Heavyweight title. Man, AJ Styles ended up winning. Huge shock to me, specifically.
Not to me.
Well, I guess you just had better keys.
I knew this one. I just feel, and I know they didn't really talk about the New Japan match so much yet, but Wrestle Kingdom is New Japan's WrestleMania.
Right.
And Shinsuke won that match. For in the Mark's eyes, Shinsuke to be up 2-0, why have another one? Now they're tied 1-1 at the biggest stages of them all. It's different continents.
However, I really felt that, this is WWE, and most of the time, they could give two shits less about where you came from and what you did. You're in WWE, this is WrestleMania, this is a new start for both of you. I don't care if people know where you came from and what you've done. That's kind of how WWE has always treated things. Yeah, they've been a little less like that as of recent, but I still felt like this is our dream match now for you guys. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania for the WWE title. This is our dream match for you guys. Who cares what happened in Japan? That doesn't matter. This is us. This is WWE. You care about what we did. And I just feel like they wouldn't have cared that Shinsuke would have ended up 2-0 to AJ Styles, even though they made some slight references to it. I thought it should have been a bigger part of the story, and I thought the build-up for this was really lackluster. And the match itself, I thought personally, and I don't know about you guys. Adam apparently was sleeping the whole time. I thought this
that
match
would have been a better use of my time.
Well, I thought this match.
Oh no!
Great. Yeah, I thought this match was great. I poo on the crowd. The crowd made this match.
The crowd was
awful. Right. No, they weren't.
Okay.
This match was never in a million years going to live up to the hype. If this match had happened last WrestleMania, when people were on fire for it and people were out of their minds for Shinsuke Nakamura's theme music, maybe this match would have had the whole crowd singing and going crazy. It didn't live up to the hype. They got bored real quick, and then when it ended in just a little bit of time, they were mad. And not to mention, like I said, so many people were getting boo-boo faced just about Brock and Roman going on last. The minute they got this match and realized it's official, Brock and Roman are closing out the show, I think people started getting butthurt already.
No, people were upset because it started so great. Man, that was the sexiest ever come down from the ramp I've ever seen in the history of WrestleMania. That guitar player, oh my God. She was gorgeous. Shinsuke Nakamura coming down, you could see every time the note hit, she was just feeling it. So then Shinsuke comes down and they start the match and it's exciting and they have all this build up and they're going to do some stuff and they do what they normally do on SmackDown, like another match. that I've seen. There's hardly any storytelling in the match, and then it ends lackluster. It ends lackluster. There's maybe a few good spots, but nothing I haven't seen before. It doesn't look like they brought their A game to this match, and thank God it ended the way it did, because that's what saved it.
I totally disagree. Disagree. I don't believe that that's exactly the case. First off, we haven't seen AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura wrestle each other in WWE, so I don't know where you're getting this from, where they've wrestled on SmackDown and we've seen this before.
It looks like it could be a SmackDown.
I totally disagree with that. I think what happened here was there were the reports that AJ Styles was injured going into this match. Now, he did not, said that it wasn't going to hinder the match and everything like that. But I feel like they went into this slow pace of methodical, they went the methodical route where taking out the Shinsuke's knee, AJ was focusing on the knee, trying to make sure that he couldn't hit the Kinshasa and everything. And in most cases that would work. But for these guys with their styles and their reputation, you wanted it to be a little more fast-paced than that. You didn't want the typical Triple H match, I'll call it, because Triple H kind of matches are where you're always seeing a body part taken out by the guy he's facing, and that's just the type of match you usually end up seeing from a guy like him and whoever he's facing. But that's not what you wanted from Styles and Shinsuke. You wanted something more high flying. You wanted more high spots, and there were some great spots. I thought there were some great moves in there, but I thought it was a little slower than what they're used to. But I feel like the crowd didn't help at all. The crowd did not go along with this match. And you know what? I also blame partially. At first, I was like, man, I kind of want this match to go on late. Now I regret wanting that. I wish it had gone on a little earlier, more towards the middle of the card, rather than where it did, because I thought the crowd would have been more into it.
That's possible. I mean, you're pretty tired. The crowd's pretty tired at this point. But 2
hours of pre-show, and by this point, 3.5 hours of show.
Look, I mean, there was so much hype built up to this. I mean, this match should have been something special. And really, really looking back at it, it wasn't. It wasn't.
It wasn't special. It was not, but it was still a great match. It was still a great, quick match.
And these two are types that feed off of the crowd's energy. I mean, when you watch their matches, when the crowd's going crazy, these guys are putting on their best performances. Yeah, and that's thanks to the crowd's reaction. And I'm sorry, but the crowd did not help this match at all. When you think about it, I mean, when we got to this point in the match, in the show, this was 5.5 hours into the show. And that's not even including people parking, getting there, probably pre-gaming before the day.
Access and VIP lines they've been through all
exactly. I mean,
but the entire 76,000 people are not getting tired, right? Maybe a quarter of them. But not all
more than that.
At the end of the day, you're going to try to blame the crowd, but you can't. You have to blame the performers. You have to blame the performers. If they'd have put on a better match, you know what? The crowd would have gotten into it. The crowd got into the Mardi Gras. The crowd got into the Mardi Gras float.
What? They did pep back up a little bit for the Braun Strowman and the bar thing. I know what you're talking about, the entrance. They did pep up a little more, but it was because it was a funny fucking spot. It was a funny, heartwarming spot, but not to get ahead of ourselves.
And I hate to also, sorry to interrupt, Joseph, but I just want to say the other comment I have for Braun Strowman is, I mean, I hate to even bring this up, but right now Braun's on some kind of ride, man, where he's just he's so over. It's unbelievable how over he is.
If Roman Reigns is the example of bad booking, Braun Strowman is the example of perfect booking. Because they have booked that man over the moon.
Right. Can we talk a little bit about this? I mean, I know you guys have to talk about what Nakamura did, though. I mean, we can't end the AJ Styles match.
No.
Let's go back to that first.
Right. So Nakamura, after the match, goes on down on one knee with the title, showing sportsmanship to AJ Styles in his victory, and then the infamous low blow takes place, cementing Nakamura's heel turn.
I love how it's infamous, but it's a day old.
Well, it's infamous because I call the low blow infamous because you usually see that a low blow is usually the sign of the heel turn, and the shocking. I mean, I can recount many low blows that were like, "Oh my God, heel turn," and that's all I'm trying to say. Not
to mention the low blow has been a largely banned move over the last so many years.
Yeah,
you know that they banned in New Orleans, they banned the pile driver unless you were part of a professional wrestling group, because so many little wrestling people came around to do shows that the city got together and said you can't do pile drivers in the city of New Orleans.
Stop fucking
during
breaking people's
WrestleMania. Yeah.
When the WWE won't do a pile driver anyway, like, yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, really. But yeah, so this heel turn.
The kicks he was giving to AJ's face were so disrespectful. Disrespectful. Those little, it was
Yes,
just like
those were
rub
great.
dirt in your face kicks. I loved them.
Yep.
Loved the little, like, I'm just gonna rub it on your face. I'm just gonna take my heel and push
until
it.
you
and just-
fall out of the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the whole thing was great. My only concern is, I mean, I understand that Nakamura, since coming up from NXT, really hasn't caught on with the crowd, but then again, I think that's also partially WWE Creative's problem with not packaging him right, really telling his story, really just, and with his, with the barrier here of not being able to speak great English, it's really on Creative's job to sell him as a package him right to the crowd. Yeah. And I feel like they failed him to do that, which also may be a part of why the crowd wasn't as into it as they should have been. Now, going back to the heel turn, though, I worry because I feel like this heel turn, I don't know how it's going to go. I hope it's not going to go to, I'm from Japan. I am Japanese, scary guy, because I'm not from the United States, so ooga booga booga,
I don't think so, because he formed that Chaos faction, right? And he had a whole faction that was all heels with him in the past.
Yeah, he's been good guy, bad guy. I mean, he knows how to do it. I always get this weird thing because I've heard so many wrestlers when people say to the wrestler, "Oh, because Shinsuke doesn't speak English," and almost every time I've heard someone say that to a wrestler, go, he speaks English just fine. And I'm like wondering, do they make him not to sound racist? Do they make him Asian it up? Is Vince back act like you can't speak at all? Act like it's really hard for you? Because it seems like every time someone says that to a wrestler, he speaks English just fine.
Act like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's really strange. Act like you can't. Act like you barely speak any English.
Yeah, I can't.
Or if it's that mouthpiece that he's always got in. Maybe that's the problem. They didn't take his mouthpiece in when he's trying to talk.
That might be it either. Also, I mean, I don't know, man. But all I know is just, I hope that AJ and Nakamura, when they do fight again, that they can, end up getting the crowd reaction they wanted and deserved, and that their rematch will be better than what we got out of WrestleMania. Again, I agree with you, Joseph. Great match, but the crowd wasn't there for it.
Not there at all.
Nope.
Not there at all. They were it was just this isn't the main event. I'm not even going to cheer for it. It was come on, get up, get up.
Yep.
Whatever.
But let's go on then to a real WrestleMania moment.
Come on. This is what I wrote in my notes. Come on.
Come on. Great. Yeah.
Can I real quickly put out this? I just need to put this out. There's an Amber Alert out for Nicholas. He was last seen wearing a long sleeve gray shirt, jogging pants. Might be in New Orleans with a 6'8" white male and a beard. Could be in extreme danger.
Oh, they found him. Don't worry, they found him, Adam. He was on Raw.
Oh, was he? Was he on Raw?
Oh, yeah. So don't worry, he was backstage with Braun. We saw him earlier, maybe coming out later tonight as we record this. Of course, we're recording this during Monday Night Raw, so we'll keep a Nicholas update.
If they're still in New Orleans, there's no reason why not, first of all. Second, my hope is that he keeps coming out and picking a new kid every week and defending his tag titles with some new little kid, and it just becomes a thing that goes on for a while. And at the end of every match, a new kid gets a title. Now, this was obviously a plant in my mind.
I heard somewhere that this is the referee's son.
It actually might be Shane's son. There is a picture of Linda and a bunch of people with Donald Trump, and the kid's in the picture with them. But it's obviously not Triple H and Stephanie's kid. It's obviously a plant because there's no way Braun Strowman knew that was a boy right off the bat. I was certain it was a little girl. And he goes, "What's your name? What's your name, son?" I was like, "Oh no, Braun." He goes, "Nicholas." And I was like, "Oh shit." I was like, it is a boy.
Yeah, I was a bit confused too. I was like, well, all right, I understand you're going to find a kid, but why not just find a boy? I'm like, you're going to make this even more interesting and just get a little girl in there with you? And I'm like, oh shit, that's Nicholas.
I wonder if it took so long to find him because Braun got lost in all the people, or if he was just trying to extra sell it like he couldn't decide who he was going to pick.
I think it was a bit of extra selling.
It went on for a long time.
That went on for way too long. But I got to say, the part where he came out and all those little heads, all the little
so
people were in the float, and he comes down,
Raw! And they all
And
just
you
started
see 'em
scattering.
their heads wobble. Oh, that was excellent. That was amazing.
It was so good. One of them looked like the Burger King mascot, and he was just. And what made it funny was all the masks, and it was weird because when they came out with the bar, they didn't look scared or sad. But when Braun Strowman came out, they looked so frightened, and they couldn't change their facial. Oh man, it was good. It was perfect. Oh man,
I
love stuff like that.
That shook me for sure. I was at that point. I was going, okay, I might be back into this.
If you don't like that,
22
professional
minutes
wrestling is just not for you.
No, definitely not. And I just think, like you said earlier in the show, do you want to see an example of perfect booking? I mean, here it is with Braun Strowman. You know, I mean, they've had him as a heel monster, and now they're having him as a face monster. Like this is what they wish they could have done right with Big Show
or Roman.
Roman.
This is another example how he's the reverse Roman. They want Roman to be a good guy. They push him as a good guy. They push him as a good guy. The fans boo. They just keep pushing him as a good guy. They just keep pushing him as a good guy. Braun, they want him out there as this big, nasty bad guy. The fans just loved it and started to get behind him. They make him a good guy. Like, why? I don't understand why you can't figure it out with Roman. Make him a bad guy.
Right, at this point, that's what he should be because that's what it is. I mean, with Braun Strowman, thing is, he looks like somebody who can just kick people's asses. And that's that's what you want to root for. That and the way they try to sell that Roman Reigns is that kind of guy, that's just not the case. He's not the guy that can beat up everybody. What is he, 6'3"?
No, Roman Reigns is a sexy vampire. Braun Strowman is like, I will destroy your ice road truckers. All of them. Bring them my way.
And then flip the ice trucks over.
Flip over the entire ice.
Dude, so everything he does is ridiculous. I'm not to break up with just another current event thing. I don't know exactly, but it looks like Paige might be retiring right now.
Really? That's what it looks like to me, too. I mean, there was already reports months ago that she wasn't going to be able to come back in the ring, but I guess she's making it official. It
was one of the saddest things when Daniel Bryan was cleared to wrestle. She put out this tweet. It was like, oh, it's so nice to see him get his wish. It gives others of us that are hurt like a glimmer of hope or something. And it dawned on me how many people in the company that just can't wrestle because they're beat up. And it's like, oh man, how many people that were like, I guess I can't do it. And now they're like, oh, maybe I can. Maybe I can do this.
That trailer for Paige's movie was excellent. When I first saw that at NXT, I was laughing my ass off.
It was just a Rock promo.
Take
but
this
I get
umbrella, shine it up and stick you both
Harry
up
Potter.
Harry Potter.
It's good stuff.
All right, guys. I think it's time for us.
She's crying. Yeah.
It's time to get to probably what people have already been waiting for us to talk about on here the longest, and they had to sit through an hour and a half or so of the other show, or the other matches, to get to finally the main event, the coup de grace, the Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns Universal Heavyweight title match. Well, I hate to break it to you, but it wasn't that great. I mean, it was, I'm going to give my opinion first real quick, and then I'll hand it off to you guys, because Brock Lesnar won. And I thought that was very shocking. And I thought that there was quite a ruse here pulled by Dana White.
Yeah.
That was great.
Because Dana White said in the beginning of the weekend, yeah, Brock Lesnar's coming back. He's going to fight with us. And that had to piss off so many people. They're like, I even heard it on other wrestling shows like before the weekend. They were going, what the fuck, Dana? You just totally destroyed this match. You destroyed it for Roman Reigns. You destroyed it for Brock Lesnar because now the whole crowd's going to boo and everything, and they're going to hate the match because they know Brock Lesnar's leaving. Well, guess what? He's not. He's not, because he retained the title. At least that's the idea at this point. He's not. He's already scheduled to face Roman Reigns at the next show, which is the greatest Royal Rumble ever in Saudi Arabia. They're already facing each other. They're going to face each other for the Universal title again.
I think I might have a little bit of hidden information because I also listen to Chael Sonnen's podcast. I don't know if you guys do that or not.
No.
But Chael was talking about if Brock Lesnar were to come back to the UFC. And now I think what he said has become a little more clear because it turns out Brock is signed with the UFC and WWE. He's got a contract now with both of them. And he still has to serve as, even though he's been gone from UFC for over a year, he's not served his suspension. Right. He has to be a member of the UFC to serve that suspension. So he can sign that contract and join UFC, but he can't fight. He can't do anything for a year, at least. So he's got plenty of time to do as much WWE stuff as he wants and still be a UFC employee. All he's got to do is be training. And he's got plenty of time to do that because the WWE only needs him to be there once every 3 months.
Well, here was the problem for me with this match, and let me see if you guys agree. My problem is that the whole build up to this match was Roman Reigns going, "Look, I'm here week in and week out. Lesnar's not here." Kind of the same thing that John Cena did to The Rock, right? Same kind of thing. So you started to get on the Roman Reigns train. You started to say, "Okay, I can see where you're coming from," right? You can see it. You could see it, and you could see people kind of getting on board, saying, all right, we're getting a little tired of Lesnar coming out here once a month, maybe once every 3 months. We are getting tired of that. We want to see some title defenses at every pay-per-view instead of just the big one. So, and then as people were getting more on and more with Roman, you thought, all right, well, Roman has to win. He's really the only one building up this match. It's kind of like John Cena versus The Undertaker in a longer extended match, because you had John Cena just calling him out, and nothing happening. And I felt like the same thing happened here, and there was no payoff. No payoff. It was the Last Jedi of wrestling because you just didn't know where it was going to go.
I couldn't believe, as it started getting deeper into the match, oh man, Roman Reigns is getting his ass beat. I was like, and now they're going to do just like they did at Elimination Chamber. Roman's going to be destroyed by a seemingly unstoppable beast. He's going to hit one spear, and this crap is over. The minute I saw him start pouring pints of blood all over the place, I was like, oh, hold on a second. Something just changed here. And even when he hit that spear, that Crimson Mask spear that was so intense, and the fans didn't care. They're chanting some stupid shit about a beach ball and CM Punk. I was like, what? They're like, oh, here goes boo. Fuck this. Roman Reigns is going to take a beat and then still win. This is stupid. And then Roman Reigns loses, and they're like, what the fuck? No, Brock Lesnar's the champion? This is stupid.
No one could win that match. Nobody could win that match. But you know what? That's on WWE for the way they set this match up.
I love it. I love it.
I mean,
I laughed just as hard as I did when Cena got beat up like that.
Right. I mean, listen, but you know what was – okay, so there were a couple other things I wanted to throw in there. First off, to Adam's point about the build-up, I thought it was laughable that Rage was going on the time. I thought it was a good build-up at first, but the part I started laughing at Roman Reigns for this promo that he kept doing about Lesnar was when he said, Brock Lesnar is Vince McMahon's boy. Bitch, you're Vince McMahon's boy.
Yeah. Nobody bought that.
No.
Nobody bought that.
Right. You're Vince McMahon's boy. Don't even start with that Lesnar's the boy. So it was that's where the point where his promos got really unbelievable and just were, losing credibility. Now, as far as the match is concerned, what really kept pissing me off, I mean, Lesnar had to hit 6 F5s to put this bitch away. Come on, 6? Are you kidding? We've seen that move put out some bigger legends than Roman Reigns and won.
Braun, it just recently beat Braun and won. That's what is annoying. Is that was the story they were telling. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar for a year have been telling the story of if you get hit with 1 F5, you're done. And Roman Reigns' story is, I'm just
one of them
keep
through the announce
table up here.
Yeah, one of them through the announce table. And I'm sorry, but okay, if you wanted to do 2, maybe 3, fine. And I understand Lesnar's limited in his arsenal these days, and I get also that's most likely WWE telling him to be that way, because we all know, if anybody's ever seen Brock Lesnar in his earlier days, he could do a hell of a lot more than what he does now. You know he can. And I understand he's a little older, but I still know he can do more than what he's putting out there. And it's kind of unfortunate because as a Brock Lesnar fan from when he was younger, I loved what he used to do and the matches he used to put on. These days, I mean, it's cool for, like, the physicality and, like, the fact that we've never really seen matches like this before where just somebody gets their ass kicked. But I still miss, like, the old day Brock. Like, that's why I loved the AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar match at Survivor Series, just because it was so much different than what Brock Lesnar has been doing since he came back. But back to this match, though, yeah, that was something that really annoyed me, was the 6 F5s in order to take him out. And I really thought, like, oh, here's Roman, like, he's bloody face now, which was a great visual and all. But I just thought, okay, great, he's getting up now. He's all pumped up. He's going to brother it out like Hogan and hit his 2 spears. And, oh, that's it. Oh, Lesnar's down. He can't get back up. And I was excited that Lesnar got up. And I'm excited that Lesnar did retain, although I feel like it kind of did it to spite your face. Because at this point, now Undertaker's streak and being beaten twice now really means nothing going forward when you really break it down, because you thought Roman Reigns, if they're really going all in on making him the guy, then unfortunately, even though nobody was buying it anyway, they should have just had Reigns beat Lesnar and now be like the undisputed guy who beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
No, I think the Roman Reigns experiment is over. This kills it. This has to kill it, man. This is twice in a row.
Too much money. He's not going anywhere, but Here's what I liked about it. First of all, it was a brutal match for one of the opponents. Yeah. Brock Lesnar was sweating his ass off because that was one hell of a workout, throwing a 200-pound man around for 20 minutes. But Roman Reigns got his ass kicked. I'm going to step into a little real nerd culture here for 1 second. But
yeah, as if you haven't been stepping into a nerd culture before.
The story they told last night reminded me of this Justice League book called New Frontier. And there's like this one scene where like they've been fighting this thing that's come out of the sea. It's this giant monster, and it's just been smashing buildings and tossing superheroes around, and Superman shows up, and everybody's like, oh, thank God, Superman's here. And Superman flies, and the thing just swats Superman down into the water, picks him up and eats him, and all the rest of them are like, oh, shit. And that's what I feel like they've done with Brock Lesnar now. They just spent 2 years building up the guy that was going to take down Brock Lesnar, and he got his ass beat. Who is going to beat Brock Lesnar? And now you got a whole year to find who's going to do it.
I mean, I feel like I don't know who it's going to be. That's why I thought
Braun.
He should be the guy. Right? Yeah. He should be the guy, but they already
green. That was his green rookie shot. Yeah, how many Roman's already lost? 9 times. Braun lost once. He thought he was too big for Brock. He wasn't. Now he knows, and it's time to come and start rolling things over on the sides.
I think the bottom line, though, is that nobody puts butts in seats like Brock Lesnar does for the WWE. Roman Reigns doesn't have the pull that Brock Lesnar does, so he's going to get it. He's going to keep winning as long as people keep tuning in to watch him.
The one undeniable fact is Brock does bring in ratings. I will give that much credit. I mean, we've seen rating spikes when Lesnar is scheduled to be on TV. However, the putting butts in the seats, I think that was his deal. I think that deal is really, starting to kind of wear thin there. What's oh shit?
Bobby Lashley just came out on Monday Night Raw.
Oh, you dick! You're so ahead of me.
Oh, am I? Sorry.
Wow.
Great. We got another mid-carder that we're very excited about. That's fantastic.
Hey!
Yeah,
well,
here we go.
I'm saying,
yeah, here it is. Bobby Lashley will be the guy over Brock Lesnar.
I always wanted to see Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar. They had like the same build. Brock Lesnar's first run and Bobby Lashley's first run were very identical. Very identical.
They were identical, but I thought
they
Lesnar
whooped ass, and then they were like, I'm out of here for a little bit. You made me work too hard.
Just going to need Kenny Omega to come up and beat Brock Lesnar.
Oh, Jesus Christ. The fanboys would mark out. There ain't no way that'll ever happen. Ain't no way. If AJ Styles, anyway, not to get into that, but sorry, I derailed the conversation with Bobby Lashley. I was just surprised to actually see him.
Hey, well, I gotta say, Suicide Bear, you're a bitch. You need to pay me my $100 because you threw on that if Lesnar wins, you'll pay everybody that retweets $100. And so I sent that bitch out everywhere. And you had 1.4 thousand retweets. And now it's time to pay $100 to those 1,400 people.
So that means 1.4 million
for $100. That's going to be what? 14,000.
Hey,
Oof.
Or is that 104? I don't even know what
I
that
think
is.
that's 140,000 actually.
Whatever it is, pay up. Pay me for retweeting your shit.
No, I was right the first time. That's 1.4 million.
just a little bit of change.
Time to shut down that Twitter.
Woo! Yeah, that's 1.4 million, my friend. Oh boy. All right. Well, I mean,
Sum it up, though. I think
yeah.
everyone who's a champion should be a part-timer. I think that should be like the goal to work for. That should be like, if you're a champion, that should be what you've been working your ass off for, is to not have to work your ass off anymore and still get paid to show up and just be the champion every now and then.
I think you do what AJ does. If you're going to be a champion, be a fighting champion. I agree with I like that.
But then you get people like Adam Moe, who, when he puts on a great match with Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania, says, "Oh, I see this shit every week."
Yeah, I mean, I wish it was
you
a
see
great
it every
match
week.
because you got people like Joseph Cruzen who are like, holy shit, look, they're wrestling, so it must be a great match because they have great intros.
Wow.
No, because they're busting their asses and they were.
Wow, you hear that, Joseph? He's saying if you watch a match and they're just wrestling, it's a great match. Wow.
That's silly. AJ's face was red from the kicks he had taken. Red. He had been getting his ass.
You know
I
what
mean,
it is?
Roman's head was red from the razor blade that he moved. It doesn't mean...
Nah. That was red from that glove Brock Lesnar took off and hard-weight him open like he's good at. He did exactly to Roman what he did to Randy Orton.
Let me ask Joseph this, because we all know that Adam doesn't watch NXT. Let's.
Oh, talk about TakeOver? I'll talk about TakeOver.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. Wait. I wanted to ask you. Did any of these matches from WrestleMania beat out Gargano versus Ciampa, or even the 6-man ladder match? Because I'm going to say no.
It was so good. It was so good.
I don't know if any match I've ever seen beat out Gargano Ciampa. That might. That match.
Can I give you my opinion on the Gargano and Ciampa match?
Let's talk about that. If we nothing else, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I agree. I saw that. Let
me give my opinion on that real quick. I wanted to say the build-up and the storytelling was fantastic in that match. However, and it may be an unpopular, opinion
I'm
here.
I'm already angry at you.
But I thought in-ring wise, their Cruiserweight Classic match was better. In-ring, it was better. I think the storytelling obviously was so much better in this match, and I did enjoy it. I thought there were great spots. But I just thought I'd give the edge in-ring wise to the Cruiserweight Classic match between them.
All right. Did you like how they paid the homage when Johnny was going to drive that broken crutch into his face?
Yes.
And he sat down just like him, was getting ready to put his arm and God, so
right.
good.
Yes. Again, the storytelling was amazing. I love the fact that Ciampa was exposing his knee. Also goes to drive the knee, and bam, that knee brace right to the friggin' knee, and then that knee brace crossface crippler. I mean, that was great. Another nitpick: Ciampa tapped too quick.
Man, you know how much it must have hurt to have that brace in your face.
I know, but it just was like,
man,
too quick.
That match was great. I watched that match with the sound off. Didn't hear anything the announcers were saying. Still thought it was better than the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns fight with the sound on. That fucking logger, whatever his name is, the guy who looks like he should be cutting down trees,
Ciampa.
He can emote like a emoji from the phone. Like his eyes, when he was looking up, I generally felt like he was a giant puppy.
They chant "Psycho Killer" when they like him. They chant "Psycho Killer" because he looks like a psycho.
I just love that he also comes out to no music as well.
That was my best. All you could hear was the boos.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you, Ciampa.
Yep.
You're an ass. That asshole chant. I've never seen anything like it. It was the best entrance ever.
Yeah, that was great, and that 6-man tag was great.
Yeah, the six-man ladder match was that six-man ladder match was awesome as well. I mean, I think we're comparing that's like it's apples to oranges comparing the Gargano chocolate match to ladder match, but
Roman, yeah.
But you know what I also say a lot of the times is a ladder match. It's really hard to screw up a ladder match, in my opinion, unless you have like just the worst kind of talents for a ladder match. But I really think it's hard to have a bad ladder match, in my opinion. I really can't recall too many that I would say, wow, that was a really bad ladder match.
Yeah, I would mostly agree with that. I mean, there have been some that are better than others, and I think that was on the better than others. That's closer to the high-end ladder matches I've seen. Some of those spots
Agreed.
Just ridiculous. That, what's his name? The Ricochet and Velveteen Dream. My
He's
goodness.
so good.
Goodness.
The fact that he was just on Tough Enough like a year and a half ago, and now he's like main event level. Like that kid is so good, it's ridiculous.
He's so over. It's unbelievable.
So good.
I mean, he did have an amazing match with Aleister Black.
And
that really put him over, I think.
I have more desire to watch NXT TakeOver again than I do WrestleMania. And that's why I think WrestleMania. That's one of the reasons I think this was not.
Well, do you also think it's partially because it's not 12 hours like WrestleMania? Because who has 12 hours to rewatch WrestleMania again?
Basically got to watch the entire series of Star Trek in order to make the time equal between what WrestleMania was and how long the series of Star Trek is.
Do you guys think they will eventually go back to cutting down WrestleMania, or is this what we have to look forward to?
Oh, it's an event. It's
going to get bigger.
Man. It's going to only get bigger.
It can't get any longer, though.
There's eventually going to be a time where the network WrestleMania is going to start in the morning, and they'll just randomly be matches. All day long on the network will be built up to WrestleMania. They're like, hey, come down to the arena right now. There's a match going on. I guarantee you. We're going to put on a little match right now for the people who have VIP and access.
Since we're going to be wrapping up soon, guys, I mean, this has been a really fun show. I hope it's been fun for you guys listening, because it's just been fun for us talking. We're talking like we're not even talking to any fans out there. But you know, hopefully you guys are enjoying our banter. Hopefully you guys maybe are agreeing with us or thinking Adam's just a fucking idiot. You know, maybe that's all you're thinking.
Hey, they can think that without me talking.
But I wanted to bring this up to you guys. So WrestleMania, you know, we're joking about how damn long it is. Do you guys think it should be broken up into 2 days?
No, because the main
only if it's two different venues.
No, they did that. WrestleMania 2, I think they did.
No. But that was junky like they did Raw 25. What I mean is like he's saying Saturday somewhere in California, Sunday New York.
I don't think so. I feel like it should all be like one event you can go to, you can watch it, because the main event isn't always the best match. And I would hate to be like, all right, well, I'm in California, I can't go to the one in New York, but I think the best match is going to be the one in New York. So,
what if you live in California and we're like, there's no way I'm going to be able to New York, but I could run down here to San Jose and watch AJ Styles fight Nakamura again. I guess I can't see Roman Reigns fight Brock Lesnar tomorrow, but I'll see this today.
I'd rather be in the Oasis Ready Player One style and just run through WrestleMania.
He's starting a whole new podcast. Hold on a second.
That ends the WrestleMania content. Let's get to the next one. Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it. Joseph, Adam, thank you guys so much for having me on with you guys to talk WrestleMania. It was very exciting, but yeah, we got to be out.
Thanks for having me. It was a good time.
All right, guys.
You won, Nick. You won. You got the most right.
I always win.
Cheater.
Come on.
Checking out the dirt sheets.
Yeah. I'm a former pro wrestler. What can I say? I know my wrestling. All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and see you guys next year for WrestleMania.
There.
Woo!